Welcome to Mental Health Moments. We're glad to have you along with us. The topic that we have for you this time is one that I am surprised that in all of the time that we have been doing this, I have never gotten to yet, and I hope that you are going to be helped by it. Tonight, we're going to be talking about self-talk and self-perception. Self-talk and self-perception. We'll be right back. And we're back. Thank you for being there. If you are a subscriber, we're happy to have you with us. If you are not, press that like or subscribe button anytime you'd like. Not long ago, a friend of mine sent me a recent report that was sent out on the subject of mental health in regards to teenagers, specifically teenage girls, self-harm and self-mutilation and suicide. And the numbers that they were giving us were very, very hard to digest, because I think that we can know this, if you know a little bit about mental health in our country, is that the numbers are sky high, and it's hard to even comprehend that self-harm was rising. And for those who are not familiar with what self-harm is, that can go anywhere from cutting or scratching or burning, hitting, piercing, punching, pulling out hair, and it is done for so many different reasons, but all of them make sense to the person that are doing them, but not much to anyone else. Suicide or attempted suicide rates were rising, and as they were looking for the causations, as you would imagine, the causations are numerous. There are so many, there was no shortage of reasons, but one of the most talked about, which may or may not be a surprise to you, one of the most talked about reasons in the study was social media. Here it goes again. We get tired of talking about it, but it has to be discussed. Its effect on their lives and the resultant feelings as a result of social media, their perceptions and their self-talk are all connected to that. And when I started researching what that meant, I wasn't at all surprised by everything that I found. What I was surprised about is that all of our time here, I had never really specifically discussed that. So here we go. Self-talk. Self-talk is exactly what it sounds like. Self-talk is the way that you talk to yourself, or the inner voice that you have that you talk with yourself. You might not be aware that you're doing it, but you almost certainly are, and that inner voice is often conscious thoughts connected with unconscious thoughts and inbuilt beliefs and biases that create an internal monologue that goes on within you right on throughout the day. Self-talk. I don't mean in a humorous way. I don't mean sitting in your car and talking to yourself. I mean that dialogue, that inner dialogue that you have with yourself. When it's positive, obviously it's a good thing, and we need more of that. But the problem is that in reality, most people are more involved in negative talk instead of positive self-talk. It's also true that when you engage exclusively in negative self-talk, it's always going to be bad for you. When you A lot of people do this. I'm not good at that. I'm never going to be good at that. I've never been good at that. I'm not even going to try. There's no reason for me to go after that. Nothing ever works out for me. And, probably right now, some of you are thinking about someone that you've heard them do it. Or maybe it's stinging a little bit because you see that tendency in yourself. You can easily see how that dialogue would have a negative effect on your mental health as well as your relationships with other people, because it just gets very heavy in your life and everybody else's life. So as we often do on this channel, quickly, right straight to the point, what can we do about negative self-talk? Here are a few thoughts that we'll just kind of start with, and then, as we always do, start the discussion and let you go from there. Number one, start trying to be more aware of what you're saying to yourself. That sounds simple, and it might take some practice, but just start being aware and of what you're saying to yourself, and when you're doing it, here's a good question. Ask yourself, is this something that I would say to someone else? And if you say, no, I would never say that to someone else, well then, maybe you shouldn't be saying it to yourself. Number two, challenge your own thoughts. Isn't that something? Ask yourself, is this true? And if it's not, let it go. Many times it's not. Most negative self-talk, we know this is completely exaggerated. We make that bigger than it really is. We exaggerate it. And then it takes on a life of its own. Number three, pull your thoughts into perspective. Ask yourself, here's this pertinent question. If there is negative self-talk going on, you put it into perspective. Ask yourself, so what? Okay, so I'm not good at that. Okay, is that going to end the world? Is it that bad? We all have gifts and talents, skills and abilities that have cultivated themselves in our lives over the time that we've been living, but sometimes I'm not going to be good at certain things, and I don't need to beat myself up about it. If it is true, what difference does it make? Being different isn't always a weakness. We perceive it as a weakness, but just because I can't do that doesn't mean that I can't do all of these other things. And so I need to get my focus off of that negative and turn it into the positive. Number 4, stop the thought. Stop that thought. Just stop it. Take control of your own thinking. It can be very difficult to do that. I acknowledge that. But with some practice, it can happen. You can take control of that thought. And then lastly, replace that thought with a neutral thought or a positive thought. Ask yourself, what is more helpful? What is a more helpful thought for me to think in that place? You know, when you say, well, I'm never going to do that. I'm never good at that. I can't do that. Instead of just engaging in that continuous negative self-talk, replace that with a positive thought. Well, I can't do that, but man, I tell you what, I can really do this. You could also use that as a springboard to think better and maybe motivate yourself to do something else, to take some kind of an action. I like that. I may not be good at that. Like for me, art. I've always really admired people who could do artwork, and I've just really wanted to do that. But I've told myself so many times, you're not an artist. You can't do that. You can't. Just stop. Take a class. Why not? Get out of your comfort zone. Take a class. Try something different. Who knows? You may discover something that you didn't know was there. Get a mentor. Find someone who you trust and someone that you respect, and maybe have some conversations with them about that. Maybe they can help you with that negative self-talk, or just use it to challenge yourself. You know what? I can. I think I can. I'm going to go after that. So that's what we have for you this time. How about you? Is it a problem in your life? I would love to hear. I'd love to hear how it manifests. I would love to hear what you do about it. If you don't mind, take some time and put some thoughts there in the comments below. And again, as always, if you'd like to talk to us privately, I'll leave my email there so that you can reach out to us privately. We hope that these discussions are helpful for you, and we hope that they are kind of stirring some thoughts in you. But be aware this week about your self-talk. How are you talking to yourself? Be kind to yourself. There's so many people that will be kind to everyone else except themselves. So be kind to yourself. Let that self-talk reflect the fact that you have accomplished so much and you've come so far and you are a good person and you can, and that matters. If you don't mind, leave a comment, leave that there. And if you don't mind, press like or share and let YouTube know that we're here. Until next time, we'll see you right here on Mental Health Moments.